All righty. We're live.
And we're live. Jesus, I've missed it, Tom. Phil Tarrant, Tom Panos.
So Phil Tarrant, like a great journalist, is flipping through his notes there, having a look at, what are some of the questions, what are some of the topics we're going to do. And I actually let he pressed the live button here on streaming. And by the way, I get a lot of people, Phil, ask me this app because they sometimes see us bring up, comments, and bring up things like that, I'm looking at some of these headlines I've used. Don't be a passive bystander. I've got to say, at the moment, Phil, do you know there's a script I'm using to buyers? It's a narrative and it's yielding results. So this is what typically happens. You get to this stalemate in a negotiation and a buyer turns around and says to you, hey, listen, that's our limit, right? That's our limit. We're not prepared to go anymore. We're going to walk away. We also are telling you that they should take this offer because we think the market is getting worse. This is my response to them. You're probably right, but it's not 100%. I said, you could be right. You could be right. You could be right that this property goes down by 10%. You could be wrong. It could go down by 5%, or we might actually be at the bottom of the market. But here's the deal. I want to let you know your offer's not been accepted, but I want to thank you so much because without your offer and your negotiations, we wouldn't have got this vendor down to the figure that we've got them down to now. And that figure is at a figure that's going to sell in the next few days. I would have loved you to have bought this property, but regardless, because of you, we now have a hot selling vendor. That comment alone gets a buyer back engaged again because they're thinking to themselves, what? I've been used here for someone else to buy a home that we like. Then I say this. I've been in real estate for 35 years. And I can tell you, when I look at winners in real estate, they're the ones that bought within 5% of the market bottoming or 5% of the market going up. And I actually think you're in that zone right now. But your biggest problem is not even trying to guess whether we're within that zone. Your biggest problem is every month that's going by, you're being squeezed further and further away from the center of Sydney. You're being pushed out west every month because what's happening is your borrowing capacity is dropping at a faster rate than property prices are. So it stands to reason today you could be buying in Bass Hill, but unfortunately in a month's time, that might be Penrith. So your biggest issue is something that you're not even focusing on. You're focusing on prices. You should be focusing on whether the bank is going to actually give you a loan in this suburb anyway. And there's a lot of buyers that are pulling the trigger now, Phil, because they're beginning to realize, you know what? I'm saving $100,000. This guy, he's a typical salesperson, but he could be right. We're probably not far from the bottom. So let's pull the trigger. And a lot of agents have been telling me they have seen a much better market in the last 4 or 5 weeks. But having said that, Phil, we also have this dilemma now, and that is all of a sudden the last 2 days, all this talk about, inflation going through the roof, highest since 1990, rates are going to keep going up. What's your take on all of that?
Well, my take on all that, number one, my take is you're a good salesman. Sounds pretty good what you just said, and I get it. It's reframing the traditional market that is real estate. So it's not now about whether or not you're getting a bargain on price. It's whether you're getting a bargain on the arbitrage of your ability to borrow money. And the quicker you move, the higher your purchasing power to get into the market that you want to operate within. And I reckon we're somewhere within 5% of the market, up or down, as it sits right now. So I think your view is right. If you don't get in now, every day you wait, every month you wait, there's a risk that your ability to borrow money is going to decrease. Now, this will give some sense of stabilization in the market, but it's that inflationary pressure putting it sort of not even a quiet hand on real estate decision making right now, and I find it really intriguing, Tom. We're recording this a couple of days after the new government budget, this mini budget, where they've had the chance to look at the government P&L and balance sheet and work out what they're going to do with stuff. I don't know. Did you follow the budget commentary closely, Tom?
Mostly the stuff that you guys reported on REB. The summary that you had, it came through as a news flash.
Yeah.
And I read there. Look, there was one thing. What did they talk about? They want to, build. I think they said 1,000 new homes.
1 million new homes, mate.
Of millions. Who's going to build those? I can't find a builder to build one home. Who's going to build 1 million?
Yeah, 1 million new homes over 5 years from 2024 to improve housing affordability. Big headline in terms of property. $350 million over 5 years to deliver 10,000 affordable dwellings, including for frontline workers. $10 billion to increase housing supply, including 20,000 new social housing dwellings, and a scheme Help to Buy, so a shared equity scheme to get punters in the market. So there's a fair bit property related towards the budget, but again, it's just rhetoric. Let's see how it plays out. But through those budget commentary, I think the Treasurer was clear that inflation is peaked again. Only a couple of days ago, we're in this inflationary cycle. They're saying it will start to soften over the next financial year and then get back to normal RBA target bands of 2 to 3% after it. So this is a spike in inflation. But the point was, Tom, what do I think about inflationary pressure putting on the market? To be fair, it's largely irrelevant for most people who are buying or selling real estate. There's nothing they can do to control, the economic environment that we operate within. What they can control is exactly what you spoke about, and that's about decisive decision making at the right time to secure the property that they want to secure it for. Now, if it's owner occupied or investment, to be fair, I reckon Penrith's better than Bass Hill anyway, mate. I don't want you knocking Penrith. I think it's a great place.
Can you, Phil? I want to turn my aircon on because it's getting quite hot in here. I'd love you to answer this question that's come in from Mr. Singh. Well, actually, not answer. It's really just give a point of view. Can you do that? Well,
So the question is, and it always gets hot in properties. Tom Panos sort of steaming up because he's getting hot under the collar as he usually does when we talk about this on Real Estate Exposed. Banks are preparing, Tom, for what they call a major event, i.e. fixed rate rollover. Expectations are that a lot of distressed properties will hit the market in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah, a lot of people talk about this, and this is this interest rate cliff, and it rears its head all the time based on different cycles. When we had that APRA intervention into mortgages, when was that, about 17, 18, when people were sort of locking in fixed rates, they spoke about, again, this fixed rate cliff. We need to remember, and you look at the numbers right now, that family balance sheets are the strongest they've been in many, many years. So what constitutes a distressed property? Distressed property, as I mean, someone is distressed and therefore needs to sell. Why would someone become distressed and need to sell their property? The reason why is that they can't afford the interest rates. Now, interest rates are getting pushed up as part of the inflationary cycle. And I do note also, as part of the budget for real estate principals and employee out there, the government was clear about they're not going to go crazy on really championing wage growth outside of what should just be, typical target bands. They're saying we've got to take it easy. Like if we throw more money at stuff at the moment, all we're going to do is continue this inflationary cycle. So we've got to dial it back in some capacity. The point being that the reason why inflation is continuing to spike, it means that Aussies still have plenty of money to throw around. So Aussies aren't hurting yet when it comes to the family balance sheet. Everyone's talking about increased costs of consumer goods sort of spiking 10+%.
What you're saying is we shouldn't be too frightened when we start hearing the chatter amongst people. Man, it's getting tough out there. I'm going to, start saving my pennies. That's actually probably what they want to do.
Well, mate, there is. I can't remember the number. There is billions and billions of dollars sitting inside of people's mortgages right now in redraw facilities and offsets more than ever before. More than ever before. So a lot, and it's not just some, a lot of Australians with mortgages have a lot of their mortgage offset at the moment with savings as a result of COVID. So as rates are going up, the reason why inflation is still going up, because Aussies have still got plenty of dough to spend. It's not hurting them yet. So when they do start hurting, what will happen is that redraw facilities and offsets will start to be eroded. And that's going to be the dynamic. Now, if those offset facilities and redraws, i.e. or AKA savings, which at the moment, if you've got a variable interest mortgage, you could offset that up to the tune of you're getting 5+%, 5.5, maybe some people 6% return on your money right now by having an offset account by not paying that interest to the bank. So that'll just erode down once people start hurting to a point where people don't have any offsets or redraws, and that's a long way away. So in many ways, even though there is this fixed rate cliff for people to go from fixed rate to have to renegotiate their mortgage, interest rates, their interest repayments will go up. However, it'll just chew into their offsets. So largely, you won't find too many distressed buyers or too many distressed sellers in the market, and that will help ensure stability into the property market and help accelerate it also into what I think will be a boom moving into the years ahead. Now, Tom, there's a big misnomer when it comes to property prices in Australia. Everyone thinks that property price in Australia is sinking everywhere. It's not the case. It's absolutely not the case. There's a lot of really strong performing markets which continue to grow through this current property cycle. Yes, Sydney. Yes, Melbourne are down. They're coming back. We saw some numbers coming out only a couple of days ago from CoreLogic, but there is a lot of parts of Australia, Tom, where property markets are in rude health. But everything gets caught up and caught up inside of this narrative around Sydney, Melbourne, and down, and therefore all of Australia is down, and it's simply not the case.
Now, Phil, before you go on, I've got to get this out of my head. Here's a typical example of spams and fake accounts. Someone on this own feed is impersonating me, and that's what they've put on there. I want to let everyone know that person there on my Facebook is not me. And then in addition to that, there's other people that have come in and that are saying, and that person there, that's another fake. I'm so happy I participated. I've won there. Just want everyone to know, if you don't mind. That's right, Josh. It's all spam. So anyone that's watching,
is that a fake Tom Panos account? Is it?
That is a fake Tom Panos account. Imagine how confident these people are on my own feed on a live stream. They're coming in there and they're spamming. So anyone that's watching that on Facebook, that person there, you click on it and you just report it as a fake account. What are they talking about here? Is this cryptocurrency? Yeah, cryptocurrency stuff there. Trust me, team. Cryptocurrency. I personally wouldn't spend a single cent on crypto. And the reason why, Phil, I've spent 4 hours trying to understand it. I still don't know what it is, what value it plays. Are you crypto? Frozen. Just bear with us. Team, just bear with us. We're just frozen. I'll wait for Phil to come back on. So, team, while that's happening on there, yeah, I'll just keep going. Can I just get you in the comments? Can you still hear and see me clearly while Phil's dropped off? I just want to confirm that you can still hear and see me clearly. If you can put it in the comments there. And if I don't get a response within 30 seconds, I'll presume that my issue has been the problem with the internet. So let's just give it a moment. Yes, you can hear me. Beautiful. So, team, here's my personal view while I'm waiting for Phil to come back on. Here's my personal view that, yes, there is going to be, Phil, I was just trying to buy time while you were there.
Mate, I was buying time on my side talking about you, and then it all went wrong. So there's Susan trying to call me right now. So you were buying time. The show will go on. There we go. Look at that. Professional operators. What were you talking about?
So Phil, what I was saying, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying about the fact that you want there to be pain for the Reserve Bank to feel like, yes, it's working. And yes, we have seen a double plus of interest rates. But I'm a lady that picked me up, the Uber driver that picked me up from your conference on Tuesday at the Pullman Hotel. It was a great conference, by the way, REB. Innovate, which was very
Reinnovate. Reinnovate.
very tech-based conference. The lady that picked me up, really nice lady from Somalia, extrovert, loved the conversation from Melbourne to the airport, and she made a very valid point. I said to her, it's not normal to have, I said, most of the people that are Uber drivers, oh, look at what Susan's saying. The crypto people have caught on this convo and frozen the screen.
You know what? You know what I started talking about when we went down. I started talking about, and we'll get back to that point. But your auction commentary, which I normally consume over when I'm drinking a beer on a Saturday afternoon. But what I started talking about, which obviously no one listened because it got dropped out, was cybersecurity. And I've sort of spoken about this before, but we've only seen over the last couple of days, Medibank. So this big Optus hack, right? You know, Medibank, pretty much they come out, they got hacked and they went, now nothing's wrong. They come out now and said they've pretty much taken every single customer record. Like it is a big deal. Like it is a big deal, cybersecurity. And you saw some of that getting looked at and money thrown out at the budget. But who knows, Tom, whether the crypto hackers are in your system, mate, manipulating. They've kicked me out. They didn't like me.
Yeah.
Add you to the list, but not happy, Tom. But anyway, crypto hackers.
So Phil, finishing off, this woman from Somalia, which I said, 90% of the Uber drivers I have are males, and she says, I only do this part time. And I said to her, all right, what's your main job? She goes, I just work there. And it was the hospital near the Pullman Hotel. There's a hospital, the Royal Melbourne Hospital, I think. I said, what do you do there? She goes, I'm a nurse. And I said, and she goes, I just pick up 3 hours of Uber driving. And she goes, I've only started doing it the last few months. And she goes, a few of my expenses went up. And I thought I need a bit of extra money for Christmas. So I've been doing a bit of Uber driving. I said, is that too much? She goes, not really. She goes, what would I be doing? Watching television. So Phil, it's what we spoke about 2 weeks ago, that because there's so many jobs available, whether it's your existing employer or a side hustle that you might pick up, that can actually create a bit of a safety net for people that might get too worried about mortgage payments exceeding the level that they can handle on their current salary.
Yeah, and this is the uniqueness about this current cycle, Tom, because the last time we had an inflationary cycle and connected with that was rising interest rate cycle, we didn't have the technology that we have today. So back then, if you were struggling to pay the bills, and let's say also this market is also unique because it's come at the back end of COVID and family balance sheets are so strong with savings. That didn't happen last time around. People were actually sort of, a bit worried, and also employment was very, very different, right? Unemployment was a lot higher than where it is right now. But now you can go, I'm just going to go get a job for when and work when I want to work, when it suits me, but there's no rostering, there's no whatever. You are completely enabled in the gig economy is what we're talking about, the gig economy, to be super flexible in how and when and where you work. And if you just go, I don't work today, you don't have to tell anyone. If you go, I want to work today, it's got to jump on your phone, register with Uber, take you a little bit. You can jump in your car and work for as long as you want, make a few bucks to pay the bills. So again, it's a completely unique environment. It's the first time really you've had all these different pressures and all these different dynamics working in unison. And people will now go, oh, wow, really? Okay, I can continue to lead my life as I have led it up until this point. How am I going to pay for increases in my interest rates? I'll just go and do 5 hours of Uber every single week. And it's easy and it's simple and it's not really going to change your life too much. It's intriguing, but this is the dichotomy that we have, though, is that because of that, it will continue to push forward or precipitate this inflationary cycle until it gets to a point where people are really, really, really hurting, and whether or not the government chooses to take it that far, I don't know, Tom.
Yeah, well, that's why, Phil, I think to myself, right at this moment, I still, with everything that's going, which has been a doubling of interest rates, still to this day, the most common thing I have off a vendor that doesn't achieve their price, they're not quivering, their bottom lip is not shaking. This has always been a sign. When I'm talking to a vendor and that bottom lip is trembling, you know that they're stressed. No one has got a bottom lip that's shaking. They look you in the eye and they say, Tom, you want a beer? Good news. We don't have to sell. Option's done. Let's have a beer. And I'll say, I've got to keep moving on to the next auction. They keep saying the same thing. We don't have to sell. We don't have to sell. I'll hear that 6 times on a Saturday. We don't have to sell.
Yeah, and this goes back to that question around this fixed rate cliff. Yes, some people will feel pain, but you're not going to have a hugely distressed market with properties getting offloaded all over the place. Now, we have a lot of mortgage brokers tuning into this, Tom. So therein lies the opportunity for mortgage brokers. Speak to your clients, get them refinanced into more appropriate loan to calibrate the cost base more effectively. They are coming off fixed rates. There is some real sharp rates still around, Tom, and there's a lot of lenders out there for business. Like lending has come down quite a lot. So lenders now are really putting in a lot of incentives to try and pick up new business. So now's the time to rethink your mortgages and whether or not your current lender will give you better rates, or you need to refinance and go with someone else, which is probably a bit more pain in terms of process, but you probably get a better deal. Now's the time to do it. And mortgage brokers, if you're not speaking to your clients and you haven't spoken to all of them on the basis of doing a bit of a mortgage health check, it's a bit of a fancy word for giving them a call and just going, hey, you probably get your sharper rate. Get stuck into it. Plenty of business out there for mortgage brokers.
Listen, if I was a mortgage broker, I would actually say, and I've been thinking about it because I've got to go to this conference on the Gold Coast for mortgage brokers. There's 1,000 mortgage brokers coming to there. And I thought to myself, there's something that real estate agents do that mortgage brokers should be doing without thinking about it. And that is the yearly health update on your asset. But it's even more profound with a mortgage broker, because a mortgage broker is getting a trailer. You have an obligation. You actually have a financial obligation to be sitting there whilst you're getting a trailer and making sure that your client is in the best possible deal. And right now, I would be doing it, Phil. And the reason why is so many of the banks are giving incentives for new business.
Yep.
So I just think every client's a vulnerable client for a mortgage broker. And if you're not staying close to them, and I've had mortgage brokers say this to me, Phil, clients go back to the bank to tell them that they're going to leave, and the bank doesn't have a process to trigger off to the mortgage broker and let them know, you know what, this has happened. And the broker is oblivious to it all. And I don't feel sorry about the broker, because the truth is the broker didn't have a relationship that was good enough for the client to come back to them. They've actually gone to the third party.
In defense of some lenders, Tom, some of them do have that mechanism. There are some lenders and also some banks which are a lot more connected with the broker community than other banks. There's other banks where you walk into a bank branch, and even if you were originated through a broker, they'll try and refinance you directly with the bank. There's a number of very big banks that will do that. And on the advisor, we sort of, flag that when it happens quite a lot. But it's incumbent on the broker, Tom, to ensure their clients are in the best deal. Number one, they do get a trailing commission for the purpose of servicing them. So they're getting paid for the work. But number two, it's in the best interest of the borrower to have the best rate. Number three, you can accelerate your earning potential as a mortgage broker pretty quickly if you want to get on the phone and start making those phone calls. And I reckon most Australians who have a mortgage could probably be on a better rate or a better product at any given time. It just needs 100%. A catalyst for doing it. Tom, give me a pitch. Give me a pitch. I'm a mortgage broker and I want to start calling my clients up to do a bit of a mortgage health check with you to put them into a better product if relevant.
Let's work this one out. I'll just reenact it. Hi, Mr. Tarrant. It's Tom Panos here, your mortgage broker. Firstly, I want to apologise. I probably should have been in touch earlier. Secondly, I want to let you know this is a time of the year where I sit down and make sure that you are actually still getting the best deal in the marketplace. I actually call it a health assessment. It's going to take around 30 minutes for me and you to sit down and just to make sure, right now, you're optimizing what's out there in the market. My intention is that I'm going to be available to see my yearly health update clients on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Could I ask you, is a morning better or an afternoon? So the number one thing, Phil, I'd be doing is getting eyeball to eyeball in front of a client. All you want to do is get an appointment. Once you're at the appointment, I think you've got to accept that right now, with all the change and chaos and turbulence that's been happening, it's your job to sit there and diagnose their current scenario and see if there is a better option for them. And I think the reason I started off the conversation, Phil, with I want to apologise, I should have been in touch earlier, is I'm making the premise that most of these people have probably been a little bit relaxed about staying in contact with their clients. That's probably the main reason. This is getting really interesting now, Phil. I've got on YouTube, we've got hot girls here, right? So Susan, can you report this guy here as well? But this one here, Phil, I'll actually say this one here he is supportive of crypto, but he's not a spammer. He's not a spammer. Yeah, there's an element of truth in that. There were some people early on in the piece that did benefit out of crypto. I still don't understand it.
There's a lot of people that benefit really early investing in Apple, Tom. A lot of people that invested in Google really, really early and did really, really well. Yeah, there's a lot of Australian families that invested in real estate generations ago and did very, very well. So
one final question, Phil, before we leave. TikTok. Would you be nervous as a user of TikTok, the fact that organizations in China have your data? Do you feel comfortable about it or not?
It's a good question, Tom. And I think Australians are becoming more aware of their footprint on the internet. So you need to have a degree of comfort, whether it's TikTok or anyone. Whenever you click, I agree here on any software platform, you're sharing information. So you need to be asking the questions where that information is and who can potentially use it and their rights around using it. Now, in many ways, if you want to play the game, you've just got to give it away. You've got to give away all of your information just to be able to get some sort of utility. So whether it's organizations in China or anyone else, your information is everywhere now. You've got to have a level of comfort around that and be pragmatic around that. It's just the cost now of being involved, which means that you're open to and potentially a victim of cybercrime at a worse sense, or some sort of misuse of your information. Data sovereignty is critical. I'd be asking the question, this is particularly for bringing back to real estate agents and real estate principals, where does your data live as an organization, your client data, which you're protecting? Is it onshore? Is it offshore? Who has access to it? What sort of user controls do you have around it? How do you benefit from it and use that information versus the risk connected with that? Start off with, is my data in Australia? Is the data that I hold on people in Australia or out of Australia? And then you can start cascading out from that. So, Tom, I'm not on TikTok. You got to think most 99.99999% of Australians' information is largely probably irrelevant. If you're considering organizations in China are connected with the state. They're not really that interested in what most people are doing. They don't really care. There's only a fraction of a handful of people where there would be any sense of concern around your information being there or how it could be manipulated for its use. So you've got to put things into context, mate. Where you're most likely to have problems with data and sharing of your data is in relation to cybercrime. And that's where the awareness needs to take place, Tom. So, you know, you've got to have your own personal attitude towards it. I'm not on TikTok. Am I not on TikTok because I don't want my information to be up in China? I'm sure they've got it some other way if they wanted to through some other thing I've subscribed to. So it doesn't really matter too much. I don't use TikTok because, mate, the last thing I need is another social platform.
All right, Phil, listen, we both got to get to the airport. Your bag's probably packed. Mine needs to get packed. I'll see you at the airport around 1:20 at the Qantas Lounge. To everyone that's tuned in, I want to thank you so much for coming on in. I want to remind everyone, realistically, there are 6 weeks of work left. For you, there's probably 2 weeks to list properties for this year. Then people start saying, do it next year. And Phil, I'll never forget Rupert Murdoch on a video conference many years ago said this. He said, you want to work hard in November and December. And the reason why is your November, December dictates your January, February. And the reason why you want your January and February to be good is if it's not, you spend your whole year on catch up. You're on the back foot. You're constantly trying to make up for 2 bad months at the start of the year. So what does that basically mean? Don't waste November, December. Don't go into Christmas mode earlier than you have to. I reckon 15th of December is where you should psychologically say, it's okay now to take my foot off the pedal, right? People are still keen to do work. Phil, let's sign off. Thank you so much. We'll see you all next week.